Or easier to find interesting stocks these days?
Oh, it's a lot harder, obviously. If you go back to kind of '08, '09, when everybody was scared, it was pretty easy. Today, obviously, the market's up quite a bit and makes it harder.
I know that you look at trends. I guess you're trying to capitalize on certain trends through your stock picks. One of those trends would be what's happening with oil and nat gas prices, which brings me to this stock, Kirby. I'm going to bet a lot of people might not have heard of this stock, so tell me a little bit about it and why you like it.
Probably not. So Kirby's the largest inland barge company in the U.S. They ship mostly petroleum up and down the Mississippi. So obviously, given what's gone on in natural gas prices, which is a feedstock for chemical companies, we have a lower cost of raw materials than the rest of the world. Volumes are up. It needs to be shipped, and guess what? Kirby is the logical player there.
Any real competition do they have?
No, they're about 10 times larger than their next largest competitor.
Another one you like is LKQ. Tell me about that one.
Yeah, LKQ is the largest owner of junkyards in the U.S. Not very sexy, not very cyclical either. So, a good example would be, my wife, who I love dearly, but she was going to Starbucks the other day, and the yellow concrete poles that kind of protect the building from people like my wife. She dinged one up and took out the quarter panel on the back of our Suburban, and guess what? You got to get it fixed, and Kirby's the person who would supply the materials to go in to fix it. Oh, LKQ, I'm sorry.
I was so intrigued by this because I had no idea there was a corporate junkyard owner.
Well, it's funny.
I always feel like it's the local guy, on the corner. It's got hubcaps.
And it is. And what's happened is they've consolidated that business. And there is some economy of scale and a network effect. So if you think about it, if you own multiple locations, you have more parts. And the way a repair facility works is you have an insurance company that pays for the repair. So all the owner of the repair shop cares about is the churn of that bay, getting somebody in and out. So he has a choice. He can call multiple small mom and pop junkyards, or he can make one phone call to somebody like an LKQ that owns multiple facilities in multiple markets and can ship that product sometimes the same day, if not overnight.
So you like the parts business in general because you like O'Reilly Automotive, and that's a similar story, right? Car parts?
Car parts, slightly different story, but yeah, I think that we like distributors. And efficient networks, and O'Reilly has built that out, not only on the retail side but on the commercial side too, which really separates them from somebody like an AutoZone or Advanced Auto, which is more geared towards retail, and providing the network for both commercial and retail. You get better economies of scale.
And so what happens to a name like this if auto sales continue to pick up?
Actually, it would be a slight drag, obviously, because they obviously supply parts for older automobiles.
Right.
But if you look at the age of the fleet today, it's at an all-time high. So even with new car sales picking up, I think they're going to be just fine for years to come.
Off the beaten track a little bit, Verisk Analytics?
Verisk Analytics, oddball company. It was originally part of a co-op of all the insurance companies. So what they would do is share all their claims data. So if, let's say you had a policy with Allstate, a homeowner's policy, and you had a claim, and then the next year you had another claim, and Allstate decided to take your rates up because you were a higher risk, and you decide, well, you know what, I'm going to shop around and go somewhere else. Well, whoever goes to underwrite your new policy, that information that you've had claims in the past is very valuable, and Verisk would supply that.
And are these stocks that you're holding for the long term?
In the case of Kirby, we've owned for almost 15 years.
Wow.
O'Reilly, we've owned for 8 years. And Verisk is relatively new. We've only owned that for about 5 years.